Friday, everyone. I'm Ann Birchard. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today we're going to make this card. It uses the Better Places stamp set, which is a host stamp set. That means when you spend over $150 on an order, you will get some rewards. And with those rewards, you can purchase this Better Place stamp set. Love the sentiments and the graphics. So let's make a card. Set that aside. And can't forget, we're going to decorate the envelope as well. Now remind me. All right, let's start off with the simple stuff. This is Seaside Spray. I cut it at 5.5. You can score it at 4 1/4 or just fold it in half. Get your bone folder, give it a good creasing. And then I'm going to use the Limb and Seaside Spray and just do tone on tone for the background. And I'm just going to place these randomly. I don't need to worry about the inside, the center, because it's going to be covered. But if you're not sure where your image is going to go ahead and stamp it. And that way you're covered. Pun intended. Just for good measure. All right, get my chamois, clean that off. Set that aside. Actually, I cleaned that out. So go ahead, set this aside. I'm going to bring in a piece of watercolor. This is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And it measures 2.5 by 3.5. Now I'm going to use one of our blocks. This happens to be block B, and I'm going to create a palette just by squishing, technical term, squishing the block into this, what color was this? Seaside Spray. I'm going to be using the water painter brush. And when you purchase this, it comes in a set of 3. So a very wide tip, medium, and a narrow tip. And I'm going to just use the wide tip. Right here it says push. That allows the water to come down into the head. Make sure you've got a rag. And I am just going to loosely, bring this in, I can show you, loosely mimic the sky at the top. Pick up more color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off the water. Go back in, pick up some more ink. So I can make this blue a little bit darker. I think that's good. Okay, I'm going to wipe this off because I'm going to use it for the next color, which is going to be Just Jade. Set that aside. And now I'm going to create the hills. Again, use my block as my palette. Pick up some water and some ink. You could also use your re-inkers on your palette to color, and then come in, just wash it through. Add some water. And if you don't like it, well, you're not done. Keep working it. Add more color, add more water, whatever is to your liking. And here I'm going to add more water. So again, I'm going to push where it says push, and I can see the water coming down into the head of the brush. And just keep going until you're happy. And I'm not too concerned about the brush strokes. This is going to be a very loose watercoloring, just to get the image of grass in the back. Then I'll take my rag, again squeeze it some more, and then I can wipe it off. There we go, nice and clean. Take my rag, clean this off. And then I'm going to come in and use soft suede. Again, looking at the image, I have some trees here. I have the path and some more branches down here. So again, just loosely, kind of like in the middle and off here at the top. Oops. My palette, some water. Nice and soupy. Got it on my finger already. And that's why we have the rag. Okay, so it's kind of like this. Again, not too concerned. And then I have a little branch there. And then I have this branch coming up in here. Just loose. Maybe add a little bit more down in here. I think I'm going to add a little bit more this way. I'm going to call that quit. Call that quit. I'm going to quit there, call it good. Again, squeeze the brush to get that water down so I can clean it. I'll be set for my next project. Wipe this off. And I'm going to clean up a bit because I've got water everywhere. I don't want it to ruin my card here. That would be sad. I'm going to bring in my heat gun, zap that. You want to make sure you dry it from the front and the back to prevent the warping. You could let it air dry, but I'm impatient. Wipe this off. I will call that good. I'm going to set this aside, let it dry a little bit more. And now I'm going to bring in one of our window sheets that I have water on. So let me clean that off. And I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus. Now because this stamp has rubber on it, you don't need the rubber insert. Remember the formula? If the rubber's on the stamp, you don't need it in the Stamparatus. If you're using photopolymer stamps, then you would need the rubber on the back. And that just helps give a better impression. I'm using washi tape to tape down the window sheet. Oh, that didn't work very well. Try again. And just at the corner, because that image is kind of big. Remember to use your stamp set as a platform underneath. Gives a nice surface. And I'm going to be using Stays On for the window sheet. That way the ink's not going to smear. Give it a good coverage. And I know I'm shaking the table. Sorry. I think we're good. Put the lid on. Okay, come on in. Press. Now this window sheet is larger than the image, and that's just to give me a place to hold to dry it, and then I'm going to trim it down so that it'll lie on top of the watercolor paper. Okay, and then slowly lift it up. Perfect. Bring your Stays On cleaner and make sure you clean your stamp really well. Bring in my chamois. That stays on cleaner, works really well. I think that'll work. Okay, set that aside. Bring this up. And be careful not to touch it. I'm going to zap it with the heat tool again, just to make sure. I'm hitting it from the front and back to make sure it's not warping. Kind of see it there. Set that aside. And now I'm going to start building my card. I've cut this at, what did I cut this at? Sorry. Cut it at 4 by 3. And I'm going to use, set that aside over here, first the Stampin' Seal Plus on the back of the watercolor paper. And this just makes sure that it lies flat because it has some warping to it. And I'm going to mat it on the black, making sure I have an even border all the way around. There we go. And then for the window sheet, I'm going to come in and trim it. So it's just, I'm taking the image and I'm lining it up on the brown of the cutter channel. And that'll give me a slight border around the image. So again, I can see the line. And I'm going to put it right there. And rotate. And last one. If you haven't already done so, text ANNBIRCHARD, all caps, all one word, to the number 22828 to get on my monthly newsletter. You get tips, tricks, and techniques, and any specials that Stampin' Up may have coming out. I'm going to be using the Stampin' Seal, and I'm doing it behind the branches. It won't show through, but just in case, I want it behind that darker image. And now I'm going to line this up so that the path and the trees kind of line up with the soft suede that we painted. How pretty is that? Okay, and then on the back, again, I'm going to use the Stampin' Seal Plus. Oh no, that just happened. Okay, I forgot I wanted to use dimensionals. Well, that was good practice. So when you're using the dimensionals, don't forget to put some in the center, because when it goes through the mail, you don't want it to be squished. Okay, I'm going to set that aside while I stamp the sentiment, celebrate the wonder of this day, and I'm going to line it up towards the bottom. I'm just using regular Memento Tuxedo black ink. And line it up. Commit. Perfect. Get that clean. Put the lid back on that because my finger will be in it shortly. Now I can take off the release paper on the back of this dimensionals. Now I used black Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, so that way if the recipient looks on the side, you won't see that white glaring through. There we go. Line this up kind of in the center. As long as I have an even border on the side, I'm good. Whew, that was hard. Not really. Now, here's the envelope. Let's decorate the envelope. I'm going to use Just Jade and the other image from the stamp set. Kind of give a hint as to what the recipient's going to see inside. Give it a good clean. Shut this off. So there you have it. A pretty card to send to anyone. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this crafting experience with the civil engineer. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and share. And all the products that I used are in the description below. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll see you next week. Bye.